Hello everybody, Crow here, back with another episode of Character Debrief. In my last video on Twilight, I mentioned that Wise Star Agent was arguably the main protagonist of the entire series. However, the case could also be made for the subject of today's video, the pink-haired queen of memes herself, Anya Forger. We're going to take a look at who she is, her powers, and what significance she plays to the story overall, not to mention her love-hate relationship with a certain bratty Scion boy. Now as always, spoilers ahead for the anime and manga, and please like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Now with all that out of the way, let's get started. Anya Williams, Anya Levski, Anya Roche. A girl with many last names, but none that were ever meant to last. Sent to 4 foster families and 3 orphanages in under a year, Anya had been shuffled through the system at least 7 times before the events of the main story. Starved for attention and bored beyond belief in her loneliness, Anya waited and hoped for the day when somebody, anybody, would finally adopt her and give her the home she always wanted. So when a tall, blonde superhero spy comes waltzing into her shady orphanage one day and demands a kid who can read and write, Anya jumps at the chance to show him what she's got. A grown-up's crossword puzzle? No problem. She solves it in record time. The man specifically needs a 6-year-old, you say? Well, what a coincidence. Anya happens to be exactly 6 years old too. Clearly it was made to be. Or at least that's what Anya would have the man, Mr. Forger, believe. But wait, how can she solve crossword puzzles at age 6? Also, she seems pretty scrawny. Is she even 6 years old to begin with? And how does she even know the man's a spy in the first place? Well, the answer is really simple. She's just a former secret test subject with the power to read people's minds. Look, don't act surprised. If you watched my last video, you'd already know that. But okay, so she isn't actually 6 years old. More like 4 or 5. And she doesn't actually know how to solve crossword puzzles. She just read her would-be papa's mind to get all the answers instead. Of course, Mr. Forger doesn't know that, and he's impressed so much by Anya that he immediately adopts her as part of his secret mission to infiltrate Eden Academy. Anya is then thrust into a strange new relationship with her father. He doesn't know how to be a parent, and she doesn't know how not to be strange or off-putting. Theirs quickly turns into a bittersweet relationship. Anya loves her new papa, but is also nervous around him and hates how much he makes her study. She wants adventure and excitement, which ends up biting her in the behind when her papa leaves and she stumbles upon his secret code device. Anya plays with it and ends up accidentally tipping off a bunch of bad guys to her location. They kidnap her and hold her as ransom, but are thwarted when Papa, aka Agent Twilight, comes to rescue her. The ordeal ends up bringing them closer together, and it's at that point Anya hunkers down, studies, and ultimately passes the Eden entrance exams. Anya then uses her powers to play matchmaker for her Papa, because of course she needs a mama too, and sets him up with the super strong and super deadly Yor Briar, otherwise known as the assassin Thorn Princess. With a family full of oddballs, the Forgers then nail Eden's entrance interview, and Anya successfully infiltrates the school on her papa's behalf. From then on, the rest of the story revolves around her shenanigans at school, with her occasionally helping her mama and papa save the day from time to time whenever they need it. A big part of the story revolves around Anya's character and her relationships with the people in her life. She is the glue that holds the series together, as none of the events in the story would have taken place without her. Anya is precocious, embodying all the sense of adventure children her age crave, dialed up to 11. Her parents are literal superheroes, meaning that Anya spends most of her days hung up on what missions Mama and Papa are doing, or what bad guys they happen to be beating up at the time. Anya loves her mama and papa unconditionally, along with her dog Bond. Yor protects her and makes her feel safe, while Bond is her best friend and partner in crime. Meanwhile, Lloyd caves to Anya's demands and is the excitement in her life, which makes her a daddy's girl more often than not. Their relationship isn't super warm like Anya's is with her mama, but at the end of the day, Lloyd is the one that ultimately took her in and adopted her, and for that, Anya is forever grateful to him. Anya's interests are more rough and tumble than other girls her age. Anya's favorite cartoon, Bodman, is her childhood fixation, so much so that she literally names her dog Bond after the show's titular main protagonist, and plays spy with him and her plushies whenever she can. Anya is more interested in guns and beating up bad guys more than she likes dresses and girly things, but that won't stop her from playing with her best friend, Becky Blackbell. Becky is everything Anya is not. Hung up on love, boys, and shopping, the two are nevertheless extremely close and share almost everything together. Becky often corrects Anya or informs her of things she doesn't understand, whilst Anya helps Becky break out of her shell and makes her realize that in order to make friends, you have to be a friend first. Now that's not to say she's mature though. Remember, Anya is at max 5 years old, only pretending to be older so she can get into Eden Academy. She's far behind her peers in terms of both emotional and academic growth, meaning she can come off as dumb or misbehaved to her other classmates. She can also be somewhat bratty at times. There's been several occasions where she weighs off good gestures from other people, or is just straight up rude to them for no reason at all. It probably doesn't help that her papa more often than not spoils her rotten with toys, money, and activities, though for what it's worth, Anya still tries her best to be good, and thinks of herself as a hero. She always does what's right at the end of the day, and ultimately does end up saving the day just like her mama and papa would. Damien Desmond, meanwhile, is close to Anya for entirely different reasons. Anya goes out of her way to be around him, not because she really wants to, but because getting close to him means getting close to his dad, Donovan, which makes her papa's mission a whole lot easier. However, Anya often loses sight of that goal whenever she and Damien interact. He's usually very snarky and rude to Anya, and she often reacts accordingly, though little does she know his attitude is all a ruse to hide his true feelings for her. Damien is a 6-year-old boy in love, which is funny considering Anya would rather beat the snot out of him than have any sort of romance together. Even more ironic still, even with Anya's mind-reading of powers, she seems completely oblivious to his feelings towards her, which makes it all the more infuriating for Damien when she does something that just straight up annoys him. He'll get angry, say something mean, Anya will cry, and more often than not, Damien will backtrack and try to make her feel better. Theirs is a comedy of miscommunication, though that doesn't mean love is completely lost between the two of them. Deep down, they are friends to each other, and at several points in the story, they do support and help each other through some very difficult situations. Of course, all that gets thrown out the window by the next chapter, and so the cycle continues for another day. Kids, am I right? Oh, and she also likes making faces. Like a lot. And peanuts. Can't forget the peanuts. Okay, so it's time for us to address the elephant in the room. What's the deal with Anya's powers? And not only that, but how did she get them? Why does she get them? And where? Well, the truth of the matter is, at the time of the making of this video, we really don't know the answer to any of those questions. Anya's one and only power at the moment is telepathy, the ability to read people's minds. She can read a singular person's mind easily with seemingly no drawbacks, and also multiple minds simultaneously with some difficulty. Anya can do this at the start of the series, and we can assume that she had this power at least a year prior to that, as that's when the official records of her existence first began. Initially, Anya had trouble both concealing and controlling her powers. Her youth made hiding things difficult, and her inexperience caused her to suffer nosebleeds and dizziness when reading multiple thoughts at once. As the story progresses and Anya matures, she eventually overcomes these weaknesses for the most part. There is one obstacle that she can't overcome, however: the moon. More specifically, her power disappears whenever the night sky darkens during a new moon. This seemingly random weakness has caused the entire fandom to scratch their heads and wonder about the true origin of Anya's powers. One theory is that a secret government facility gave Anya her powers. The manga outright tells us this in chapter 1, although that was at the beginning of the story and things have likely changed since then. Another theory is that Anya was born with these powers, which only raises further questions about her mysterious backstory. In the future, I'll make a video discussing Anya's possible origins and powers in more detail, but for now, we'll just leave her telepathy at that. Now, being that she's just a little girl, Anya can't do much else besides read people's minds. She's not strong like her mama or book smart like her papa, but Anya does have one thing over them, and that's pure dumb luck. Anya is either the luckiest or unluckiest person in the entire manga, simultaneously getting into and out of situations by pure serendipity 99% of the time. She's been kidnapped, taken hostage, held at gunpoint, threatened with bombs, almost torn apart by dogs, and nearly kicked out of school multiple times by the time of me writing this video. She's a danger magnet, and yet Anya gets out of it unscathed nearly every single time. It could be argued that's by the saving grace of her superhero parents, but it could also be argued in multiple instances that they're the ones who put her in danger in the first place. So if you really want to balance it out, we could say that Anya is really good at getting into and out of danger, like the little gremlin she is. It's definitely worth noting above all else though, that Anya truly is brave. Of course she's scared when bad things happen to her, but she's not the type of person to sit idly by and let bad guys get away with things. When Keith of Red Circus hijacked her class's school bus, she and her friends demonstrated outstanding resolve and ingenuity. If not for Anya taking charge and calling for help, many children would have lost their lives that day. Not only that, she was also there to comfort her friends when they were scared too. Like literally as I write this down, I'm remembering how much of a hero Anya was at that moment, and it blows my mind to think that she's still just a 4-year-old girl. Anya isn't all talk when she says she wants to help her papa bring world peace. Maybe it started off that way, but as the series has gone on, we've seen Anya really take those words to heart. To her, it isn't just a game anymore, even if she doesn't entirely respect the dangerous situations she finds herself in. Anya is willing to risk her life helping her mama fight off an army of assassins. She literally tried to defuse a bomb without even knowing what the hell she was doing, just to try to keep it from blowing up in her papa's face. She'll stare a terrorist dead in his eyes and tell him she's hungry because she doesn't know any other way to stop him from killing everyone on board, but she'll try. I've kind of gotten off topic about Anya's abilities, but I also feel like this is the true essence of Anya's strength. Not just as a character, but like her actual literal strength. She is a hero and has the capacity to spur other people to be heroes too. In that sense, she's something even greater than her parents, because yes, they've got super strength and super brains, but they also lost themselves somewhere along the way. Anya is the force that gets them back on track and become better than who they were yesterday, through sheer tenacity and genuine earnestness. Like, ironically, the debate I started at the beginning of this video seems kind of moot now. After everything I've just talked about, it seems pretty clear to me that Anya is indeed the main protagonist of the series. And honestly, I don't think I'd have it any other way. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I think going forward, we're going to try to get at least one video a month, just so we have enough time for the podcast, and also we've got work and everything else we're doing on the weekends, so yeah, we just need a little bit extra time. And also, we've got the anime and the new movie coming out soon, so we've got a lot to talk about with the podcast. In the meantime, like I said, check it out, and we'll try to get that your video out ASAP. But in the meantime, thank y'all for listening, thank you for watching, and we'll see you all again soon.